So I just posted a new episode yesterday on YouTube, and I wanted to come on here to share a couple more thoughts. It's quite funny because I think, well, funny to me. A lot of times as I'm going through my own videos, I feel like, oh, there's more that I could say, more that I would like to share. And it's either that I really like talking, or I like to think that, God's just really kind and generous in continually, I think, shaping and forming even my own thoughts around my own life as a single woman. And one of the things that I thought of as I was reviewing yesterday's episode was that I think for some of us, I know for me, for sure, and I think I'm not alone, but for some of us girls, we can fall into the trap of thinking that life doesn't really start until after we're married. So if you're someone who's single and you desire marriage, I think that can sometimes be a trap. But outside the boundaries of marriage, it could happen. It could be similar for a lot of other things in life as well. That unanswered prayer, that breakthrough that we're hoping for, that desire that we're longing for. It's easy to think sometimes that life's not going to start until this thing happens. And in the context of, someone who desires marriage, I think it's really easy sometimes to think that way. Or I'm not gonna be able to do this until I'm married, or I'm just gonna wait until I'm married to start this. Or sometimes it's not even like a very conscious thought. It could be just um, an unconscious belief, that life doesn't truly begin until we're married. And I just want to come on here today and say, that I think if we are there, if we're caught in that thought, in that thought pattern, or if we are behaving in that way, that might be something, that might be a point of reflection, actually. Because one of the things that I've come to realize is that that's not true. Life is happening now. Life is already unfolding now. And a lot of the things that I am doing right now as a single person, I would hope that it really flows into my marriage if and when that happens. But just because I am single, it doesn't mean that my life cannot be full. Because if this is a season that God has granted me, then it must mean that He has something for me to do. And one of the phrases that I use a lot throughout the series is this phrase, excavating the treasures that God has hidden for us in this season. Because I think that if this season is ordained by God, then it must mean that He has something good in store for me. And that it might be true that there are some things that I'm not going to be able to step into until I'm married, especially if I believe that God ordains marriages for purpose, for His purposes. So it means that if He puts two people together, there is something that they're going to be able to do to expand God's kingdom. There is something that they're going to be able to do together that would really serve God and His kingdom in ways that they cannot do if they were on their own. So yes, that there might be some truth in that. I really do believe in purposed marriages. But it doesn't mean that God has not purposed singleness for His own reasons and purposes. It doesn't mean that our life is on standstill or on hold as we continue to pray and wait on the Lord to answer this prayer. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard a lot of people say this, and that is waiting is not passive. Waiting on the Lord is actually a very active posture. Waiting on God is not being idle. Waiting on God is really, a lot of times I think of waiting on God as, in my mind, that the image that comes to mind is standing at attention. When you're standing at attention, keeping watch for something, all of you is actually engaged for any signs of, movement or instruction. And to me, a lot of times that's what waiting on God means. But it doesn't mean that I'm not doing anything else. It doesn't mean that I am idle. It doesn't mean that the only thing I'm thinking about is marriage and how to make that happen. It actually does mean, I think, a lot of times that God has purposed good things for us to do in this season, and it's really going to add to the richness of our lives and our experiences as single people if we truly engage with God in this season as single people. Asking God that, asking God um, what He means for us in the here and now, being present uh, to what this season would bring to us, even as we continue to wait for the Lord to answer us, even as we continue to, keep an eye out for potential partners, even as we continue to pray that God would bring along the right person. So I guess I just wanted to come on here today to really encourage that person. If uh, you're someone who's struggling in your season of singleness, feeling like as if your life is on hold, feeling like as if life doesn't really begin until you're married, I hope you find some comfort and encouragement. Uh, yeah, in this sharing today. I'll see you again. Bye.